I'm in my own world.
Love
I
that.
think fashion is an expression of how you feel.
Yeah.
And I've always said that, like, if you wear a tracksuit, it can change your body language, it can
Mm-hmm.
change your posture.
Mm.
But if you put on a three-piece suit, it can make you more upright,
Yeah.
make you feel good.
Yeah.
And that's what I really love about fashion and what I do, that I can make people feel good.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
make people look in the mirror and actually like feel good about themselves. And that's what the power of fashion and what it can do.
Yeah.
So,
Love that,
yeah.
man. Hello and welcome to Behind the Brand with monarchy.com. I'm here with a very special guest, Kemar, and I can't wait to get into this conversation. It's one that I've been looking to have for a while. And yeah, welcome,
Very nice to meet you.
welcome. How you
Thank you.
feeling today, man?
Great. Yeah. A bit
You're
nervous,
looking
but
great. You're looking, listen, with the all black, proper.
thank you. I really
Yeah, man.
appreciate it.
So yeah, tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay.
I'd love to know a bit more about your origin stories and
Okay.
yeah, how you came to be the man you are today.
Long story, but I'll try and squeeze it down. So, yeah, I've always been into fashion. Ever since I've been young, my parents have told me I've always like watched superhero movies or things on TV, and I've always like tried to dress like them.
Yeah.
And I've always been interested in aesthetics and how things look, even before I knew it was something that I necessarily wanted to do.
Okay.
So I used to love Incredible Hulk.
Oh
I
yeah.
used to like rip my jeans. And like she used to get so upset.
Yeah.
I was like 4 or 5 ripping my jeans,
That's funny.
using green makeup and like trying to be like look like him, and just like really picking up on how things kind of looked. So that
Okay.
was my parents even said that was the first sign of them noticing that I was really into aesthetics and dressing up and making things kind of look a certain way. Just yeah, with fashion in school. I actually went to a school that was non-uniform.
Okay.
So coming from a kind of lower class and being in a school where some people are lower, some people are higher, appearance was a kind of big thing for me as well, because
Okay.
every day we had to think of kind of what to wear.
Yeah.
Whereas not having a uniform, I mean, just helps you conform more, and you can just always go in one uniform.
Interesting. Okay.
So I think that kind of expanded how I kind of wanted to dress, and just perception on that as well. So then started music. I used to do a little bit of music.
Okay.
Similar to yourself, like I've done a bit of like film production.
Yeah.
I do a lot of the kind of content on my page that we got into like Vogue and different things.
Go on.
And then everyone has kept sending me so like the way you dress, and graduated from university in an orchestration, actually a bit of a weird one.
Okay.
And then tried to look for jobs,
Yeah.
and it was just the market was so difficult at
Yeah.
that point. There was not much avenues or jobs to go in that specific field. I was with my partner at the time, and I just said, like, what can I do? I want to generate money. I want to build stuff for myself, for my, build a legacy.
Yeah.
What can I actually do that can generate income right now?
Yeah.
And she said, why don't you try a clothing line, or why don't you do clothing? I said, let's do that. So done a mood board, and then the name Made came up, and then it was very simple, very simplistic, straight to the point. Has a lot of meanings with like custom made. The Italians kind of use made, that when you're kind of made in life, you become a made man.
Sick.
And then ran with it, and that was the story of how I've got into fashion.
Sick, man.
Yeah.
I love that. So yeah, even like Maids, that is obviously such a universal name.
Yeah.
Well known. How did you kind of go around the business of incorporating that in your business name and your URL? I'm surprised it wasn't taken. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Surprised it wasn't taken. No, honestly.
Yeah. Wow.
Caught it at an early time. I think it was about just over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I've been trading for about 7, 8, but I caught it quite early. I've always been quite a business-minded person.
That's
where
good.
before I make a move, I try and think strategically about how I'm going to do it.
So important.
I've been influenced by, even though it's a bit of a grey area now, by the Puff Daddies, by the 50 Cents, by the Jay-Z's, the people who we, as a black person could look up to
100%.
and see them, even let's say, Soul Solid,
Yeah.
people that were pioneering and doing things on such a high level that were inspiring, and watching their progress or seeing how they done things, how they done business, how Jay-Z owned Rockefeller Records when he wasn't being accepted by record labels, how you can, just elevate yourself. So that inspired me. So I thought, if I'm going to do it how the big corporate companies do it properly. So registered the name, went through all the intellectual property stuff. And then I wanted something that, even when I started the business, something that can transcend to everyone. So, not only in the urban sector, not only for black people, not only for white, just for everyone. I think the name Made kind of done that, where it's something that can fit in any room, in any space. And that's kind of
Brilliant. That's brilliant. Hats off, man. Well done.
Thank you.
So, okay, rewinding back to your story about, childhood and recognizing those early patterns of creativity. You mentioned that you did quite a lot of things similar to myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When someone asks you, what do you do? What's the first thing you say?
It's a hard question to answer, and I'm sure you can relate to that as well, because now I keep it short and sweet. I just say I'm a tailor, or I'm a brand owner.
Nice.
I take it from there, and sometimes I even I've got kind of two sides to me, where one side can be quite egotistical, and then one side can be quite humble. So I don't like to say, oh, I'm a brand owner and I do this and that. I don't like to sound too grandiose, but I had to kind of just say to myself, you are, you're
Precisely,
own
man.
it and
Literally.
own it and embody it.
Yeah.
You're a brand owner. So when people ask, who I am or what I do, that's what I kind of say. But I was in a space where it was difficult because, like we discussed before the cameras were on, I'd done a little bit of, photography. And my dad, he teaches film.
Oh, amazing.
So he went to St. Martin's and studied film. So he was one of the first black guys who actually studied at St. Martin's and done film, and now he teaches it. And he's going to be coming with some short films and stuff.
Sick.
As we're speaking. So that I've always been in a film and creative environment. There were times when my parents couldn't even afford care, and he brought me to his lectures. So that was when they allowed, obviously, you to bring children or whatever. I remember waking up, being in lectures or in film studios where they were cutting the tape and doing different things, the old school film cameras.
Foundations, man. Okay, so you mentioned briefly that you grew up in North London as well. Was it quite a mixed area, predominantly black, or?
Yeah, quite very mixed. Very mixed. And I went to a school in Muswell Hill.
Okay.
Again, I think it was a perfect blend I had of lower and upper class.
Yeah.
So, I always think and say that I think it's good to be immersed and be around different influences.
100%.
So I think it gave me the insight, in a good and bad way, of street culture, and some of my friends who came from underprivileged areas and backgrounds, and then some people who lived in 4, 5 floor houses, and I'd go there and be like, wow, I've never seen anything like this in my life.
I know
and
exactly what you mean.
to be exposed to that as well was a good thing for me, because then it showed me where I've come from and where I could aspire to.
Exactly.
So, I had quite a very eclectic upbringing where I was exposed to different things, which I think has made me more well-rounded and to be able to adapt to different scenarios. Yeah.
Because I'm looking at your jacket right now, and I'm like, as much as I love it, and as confident as I am in myself and as a person, I don't know if I could pull that off. How you pull it off, bro? And have you always been ready to wear these kind of things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, I've always been quite flamboyant.
Yeah.
And I think I was very much influenced by, I'll say it again, by Puff Daddy videos, Nas. Do you remember like "Do You Hate Me Now"
Yeah, of
video with
course,
Nas, and they
classics.
had all the fur
Yeah,
coats
yeah,
on in
yeah,
the
yeah.
club with the
Yeah.
jewelry and everything.
Hype
And
Williams.
yeah, Hype
Yeah.
Williams. Yeah, just seeing black people
Mm.
on that grandiose level really inspired me. It
Yeah.
really inspired me, and that's one thing I think I even keep with Made, where I like the kind of street culture. I like what some of the other brands are doing as well, where it's got a street element in it. But I've always been influenced by making black people look their very best,
Love that.
you know, and trying to step away from the kind of crime element
Yeah.
of fashion when it comes to black fashion, and being in a slightly newer space, similar to what Cuthbert
Yeah.
is doing as
Yeah.
well, and myself and a lot of other designers that are coming up now, where we're in a very new space. You've had pioneers, a lot of people that have done clothing before, like, you know, shout out to like Trapstar, to
Yeah.
other companies where they inspired me, just looking at black brand owners take things to a whole new level, and becoming successful, and
Yeah.
going from the streets to being able to make a living for themselves, more than a living, to, you know, making generational wealth,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was very inspiring for me. But even for myself, I, you know, just looking when I started the brand, there's not many people in that space that do luxury high fashion.
Yeah.
You know, I looked at kind of Virgil, kind of rest in peace, who
Yeah. Rest in peace.
was obviously doing his stuff with Louis Vuitton, Kanye, whoever done his stuff with Yeezy. Whether people kind of like him or not, you have to say that he revolutionized the way trainers looked,
100%.
changed the whole trainer game,
Yeah.
changed how people were dressing for a while. Yeah, I've always been quite flamboyant. Like you said, I'll go to the shop and wear a fur coat,
Yeah.
and people will be looking at me like, "What the hell are
Yeah.
you doing?" But I'm in my own world.
Love
you know, I
that.
think fashion is an expression of how you feel.
Yeah.
And I've always said that, like, if you wear a tracksuit, it can change your body language, it can change your posture. But if you put on a three-piece suit, it can make you more upright,
Yeah.
make you feel good.
Yeah.
And that's what I really love about fashion and what I do, that I can make people feel good.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
make people look in the mirror and actually like feel good about themselves, and that's what the power of fashion and what it can do.
Yeah.
So
Love that,
yeah.
man. Hi, my name is Oliver Greaves, and I am the founder of Monarchy.com. Monarchy.com is your one-stop shop for black-coloured clothing, footwear, and accessories. So if that is a bit of you, make sure you check out the website in the description below, and it'll probably be down here somewhere too. Now, this website was birthed from frustration. I was so annoyed when I was looking for just my favorite color when it comes to footwear or accessories or clothing, and I had to apply endless amount of filters on various websites just to kind of get an average selection of what I'm looking for. And I thought, why hasn't someone made a website where they've just got all of this information in one place? And I couldn't find it. So I thought, okay, cool, I'm going to make it. So that's how Monarchy.com came about. I've partnered with several fashion houses and networks from the likes of Selfridges, Farfetch, Browns, and beyond. So I've teamed up with global fashion houses, which give you a premium selection as well as an affordable selection. From high street to high end, you can get such a wide selection of black coloured clothing, footwear and accessories all in one place. So from your likes of Louis Vuitton to Chanel, all the way through to like Adidas, Nike, Fear of God, you name it. We've kind of got it all under one umbrella of Monarchy.com. Black as a colour, it's timeless, it's classy, it's bold, it's sophisticated, and one of my favorite colors. And I thought, why not make a website dedicated to clothing, footwear, and accessories in that color? So if you're like me and you like your black clothing in your wardrobe, please do check out Monarchy.com, and yeah, let me know what you think. All right, take care. Peace. How did you get into being a stylist? Because I get a lot of people asking me to style them, and
Yep.
I enjoy it. I love it. I've done it for free on many occasions, simply because I appreciate the fact that you've come to me. You've accepted that I have an element of good taste, and you've
For
trusted
sure.
me
Yep,
with
for sure.
dressing you for a certain occasion.
Yep.
And I rise to the challenge of doing it.
Yep.
However, I've noticed that a lot of stylists are very behind the scenes, very elusive. For people watching and those who would like to know, how does one get into being a stylist?
Again, I think it's a brilliant time in the UK to do styling.
Okay.
I'm seeing so much things open up, and some of the younger generation. I mean, I'm still quite young, but a lot of the younger generation coming up, and they're just opening the doors and they're fearless and doing loads of different things with in a creative spot, and especially with fashion now. So it's your network is your net worth, as they say. So it's about obviously knowing the right clients to style for, that trust how you dress, networking well, putting yourself across well, and then for me, how it helped me is I've always been in retail, in luxury retail.
Okay.
That's how I again subconsciously or inadvertently knew that fashion was something I've always loved to be around. So I've worked for like Louis Vuitton.
Go on.
I've worked for Dolce Gabbana. I've worked at Fendi, Chanel, Alexander McQueen. I've worked at all the big brands.
Yeah.
And on a higher and low level, and that really helped me build a lot of my clientele that trust how I dress, because they just see me dress every day coming into work and they're like, wow, like, that's even how I got my first client. 'Cause
Okay.
I was at Louis Vuitton and he liked the way I was dressing. There was a particular jacket that he liked, but he wanted it in a different color,
Okay.
slightly different cut. And he said, why don't you make something like that for me?
Yeah.
I've always and then I thought, yeah, okay, let's give that a go.
Wow.
He paid me,
Yeah.
and then I was just in the deep end.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
looking back at it now, I took the money, but I was so inexperienced and I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I'm always that person. I work best when I'm under pressure.
Me too, man.
Definitely, yeah. And I think as a creative, we all do that. We
Yeah.
love the pressure. That's what really brings the best of us out. So, done some research on where to get leather from.
Go on.
Kind of ranked it or looked at it. I've got a meticulous eye. I'm always someone who I look at everything and the grain in the leather and the thickness and if it's going to last long or not, if it's going to scratch or not, and then sourced a good place. So when I went there, the guy downstairs was hiring it to the people upstairs who done the leather.
Okay.
So when I got the leather from them, I was going downstairs and I saw some machines going off and everything. I said, hold on, do they do manufacturing there? And then he was like, yeah, like go and speak to him. And my kind of mentor, he's called Sid.
Okay.
Now, we've got an amazing kind of relationship and he's taught me a lot of what I've learned. But he was the person who was renting the leather space upstairs.
Okay.
So I said, oh, do you make clothing? He was like, yeah, I do technician in. And then the rest was history. He was like my kind of Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
He taught me how to wax on, wax off, how to do patterns, how to cut fabric, how to, put the things together, how to use the different machinery. Because I didn't learn kind of fashion at university.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. So, but I think what I've learned from him is even more vast than learning at university, because he does it. He's made he makes clothing for Drake, he's done stuff for Kanye West. Sick. He's done stuff for the Kardashians, for Hermes.
Wow.
For loads of people. So he's one of the best kind of technicians in the country that I've kind of learnt from.
Yeah.
Who took me kind of underneath his wing, and so now I know a lot through him.
That's brilliant.
But so back to kind of what you were saying.
Yeah.
I think it's about just making those networks and then people trusting how you dress.
Right.
And then also I've worked at Harrods doing styling there. I've done little bits at Selfridges. So people just gain your trust. Working in those buildings.
Yeah.
I couldn't thank Harrods and Selfridges enough for being you could say that's like the height of fashion.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, when
no
you come
doubt.
to England,
Yeah.
if you're looking for somewhere to go in high luxury fashion, you'll go to Harrods or to
Yeah.
Selfridges.
So this element of, you know, making sure you are presentable to the point where people come over to you and say, hey, can you show me how to dress like yourself? That self-drive and I guess self-love,
Yep,
where did that stem from? Because
yep.
it's an ongoing thing,
It is
right?
an ongoing
As
thing,
men, obviously we go through things. Life has its ups and its downs.
of course.
And sometimes that can reflect externally. However, when you're in a position where you've kind of got to look on point, you still make that decision to do that to the extent where other people see that and want to capture that. So where do you think that stems from?
I think it stems from my parents.
Yeah.
I've always said this, that I grew up with both my parents. I wasn't like privileged. We didn't have loads of money, but you know what I did have was both my parents.
Yeah.
And you know, and
Give thanks.
growing up in quite a rough area, that was a unique space I was in, where a lot of my friends didn't unfortunately have both their parents, and I can say I'm privileged because of that. That helped give me a certain like confidence, and being very more like centered in myself, and being able to express myself in a certain way. It's such a complicated conversation to get into. You can go into a whole conversation about that.
Sure.
But I do think that really helped give me that kind of confidence in myself to express myself how I want without feeling away, without feeling that I have to kind of like, even like you know, I wear drop earring and wear fur, and you know, I've had people say to me, you know, am I gay, am I straight, you know, where you know, why, how can you do this, and how can you wear like jewelry and do this and do that, and it's like, that is down to, I'd say my self-confidence in knowing who I am as a person. You know, I don't have anything against you know, people who are gay or straight or whatever people decide to do in their own spare time. You know, I'm heterosexual, but I've really learned how to just be at calm and peace with myself,
Love
and then
that.
to just express myself how I like.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is that I've met other people along the way who feel like that with themselves as well, and that's the beautiful space that I've got my brand in, where, like you said, I've got some pieces that are a little bit more classic but are high quality, and then some things that are a bit more flamboyant. So I've made sure I do a good medium where it's not just all loud and all, you know, furs and exotic skins and etc. Because not everyone dresses like that, and even myself, it's not like every single day,
Of course,
you know, I dress like that, but I do like that when you wear something from the brand, you look and you're like, oh, that, I can see the quality in that.
Yeah.
I can see that's been very well made, that the fabrics, everything in it is very high quality.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to confidence. I keep on skipping.
No, it's amazing, man. Please, it's all good.
Yeah, so I'll say it came from my parents. It came from, I think it came from some of my friends. I think it came from growing up in school, being very confident. I was influenced by movie stars and stuff as well. Like, I was influenced by like Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Jeez.
like Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Like, even now, I mean, I'm not as big as them or anything. I don't think I ever will be.
Yeah.
But just going to the gym and keeping myself fit, keeping myself trimmed. You know, I used to really look up to Arnold and to see his physique and see how he dressed, and just and how he looked in his clothing.
Yeah.
Because how you look in your clothing can depend on also your body shape and your body type. That's why even when I'm styling, I will style it depending on the person's, you know, body shape, their skin tone, their hair. There's a lot of different things that come into it. But I've always liked staying fit, not just to show off or to say, oh, I've got, you know, look at me or anything. It's just I like how the clothing fits when you stay, fit in the leg. Even for yourself, I can see like you've got like nice shoulders, nice. You keep in shape, so the clothing has a nice silhouette to kind of work off. So yeah, this confidence is key.
Yeah.
People like Pharrell, people like Kanye. Kanye was a big influence for me, being just so confident, overconfident, and fearless. And sometimes you have to have that in a world that continuously knocks you down and tells you you're not this, you're not that, you can't do it, you can't make it. You need to overcompensate for that sometimes. Some people do it in quite a brash way, and maybe his delivery isn't the greatest sometimes, but the message I understood in that, to be in new spaces and do new things, you have to be extremely confident.
I agree. And the reason why I asked that as well, because when you were talking about your journey into, someone came to you and asked to do something and you were like, take it on, even though you're inexperienced, you went to the right place, you asked the right questions, and that kind of led you a direction or a path where you are today. I've always said to like my audience from, I think it's 10 years now since I started my YouTube channel type thing, but confidence is so key.
100%.
It's so key, and
100%.
it's such a valuable asset to have as a young man. And I do believe that it's also linked with how you dress, and how you dress is how you feel and how you come
100%.
across.
Yeah.
Hence why I love working in the fashion world as well. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, and it's great to see more of an insight into kind of behind your brand.
Thank you.
So we get into the part of the podcast where, if you're a regular listener, you would know we've got 20 quick fire questions that we get through. So here are some questions so we can know a little bit more about you. And if possible, you can answer as quick as possible.
Okay.
Right? All right.
Let's
Cool.
do it.
So what brand reminds you of your childhood?
Versace.
Wow, of your childhood, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, why? Tell us.
Like Biggie, Tupac, the shades with the Medusa, the chains, the extravagance, that whole kind of Greek mythology feel. I'll definitely say Versace.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Iceberg and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Was slightly before my time, kind of, but I'll say Versace.
Sick. Okay. Do you style from the ground up or top down?
That's a good question. I would say from the top down, but I think it depends on the client sometimes.
Okay.
Because sometimes a client would say have a pair of shoes and want a dress to go with it, or they would want a dress and then you style downwards. But I would say usually top downwards.
Top down.
Yeah.
Okay. Why top down? Like removing what the client would ask for initially. If they say, "Hey, I'd like you to style me," and you go with the top down.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit why you go that direction.
Two most important things I would work around when styling someone is, if it's a woman, it will be the dress or the main statement piece they're wearing on their body, and it will be the shoes. Because the third thing you look at when you look at someone is their eyes, obviously, to see if you're attracted to them or not.
Okay.
And then what I've realized a lot of women do, especially when they're looking at men, is they look at your shoes.
Yes, 100%.
So those two things are integral. And if I'm doing styling a man, it would be the jacket, and then the shoes, and then work kind of around those pieces. Obviously, I like to make sure things work color wise. I like to not use too many colors. Even for yourself, I can see how you dress wearing the black with the kind of cream or off-white, with the beige trousers and the beige trainers to go with it. So you're color coding everything together. It's a very natural colors. So you know what you're doing when you're doing that. And I think, that's what I'll do. Make sure I match the colors. People tend to usually think I'm very loud, and I am. But I'm more loud with sometimes accessories or with the fabrics itself than the colors. Whereas some people might use massive logos, massive colors all over the place. I try to kind of refrain back on that and just be consistent with the color scheme. So like you said, if I'm doing beige, I'll work with like beige and maybe one more color.
Sneakers.
Yep.
Or shoes.
For me, sneakers.
Okay. Why?
I I'm a sneakerhead.
Yeah.
I'm a
Okay.
sneakerhead. I love sneakers. I think for women, I like shoes. I think the heel just makes women look very sexy, and
Chef's kiss. Yeah.
it changes their posture.
Yeah.
It's very elegant, very sexy. But even now that I'm doing more styling and in the fashion world, I'm seeing like a lot of women, they're not even wearing as many heels as they used to,
Okay.
just out of comfort. So they're wearing either flatter shoes or heels that are like 3-4 inches, and not
Yeah.
using the 8 or 10 inch heels that they used to before. But in regards to my preference, again, like I said, when someone looks at me, I see that they kind of look at me and then straight they look down.
Okay.
So I think even in between, I could
Yeah.
wear H&M jeans, a plain t-shirt. It doesn't necessarily have to be a designer or expensive, but where I probably will spend a little bit more on is my jackets or my trainers.
Okay.
Just so you can work kind of around those two things, and then it usually brings the whole outfit up.
Fascinating. Do you know you're the first stylist? I'm gonna put an element of stylist on as part of one of your many hats that you wear, that I've spoken to, and it's really refreshing to kind of hear how you how you kind of dress people and how you look at things. I know there's not really a right or wrong way to do it. There's no set way, but it's really fascinating to hear how you do things as well, because I'm very different.
Okay.
But I can see exactly why you focus on it. Exactly. Cool. So what are your guilty pleasures when it comes to music?
Guilty pleasures, I love rap.
Yeah.
I love rap. As negative as people may say it is sometimes, it's just a lifestyle, the energy, the beats, the from nothing to something element of it. That is my guilty pleasure. I think I always love it. That underdog sort of story. So yeah, in music, that's definitely one of my guilty pleasures.
Wicked.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. What's the first pair of sneakers you bought?
The first pair of sneakers I bought was Air Max 110s.
Jeez.
At the time. They were called 110s. I think they're about 150 now.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Maybe even more,
Yeah, maybe even more, yeah. But yeah, when I first started getting my own money, that's what I got, and oh my God, I felt so good. It changed my world.
It's a statement piece.
Yeah.
The 110s.
I loved them so much.
What colorway did you get?
Blue.
Okay.
With a white sole with the red air bubble.
Nice. Nice.
They were so nice. The shape of them was so nice.
Yeah.
I can remember them now in my head. And because I was saying, went to a school which wasn't uniformed. When I bought them and brought them into school the next day, just the girls and everyone was feeling them, and I felt like the actual man. I was like, this is amazing. Yeah. It's just, again, back to how clothing and stuff can make you feel. And I had to like work hard to get those, man.
No, I love that. I love that. Complete the sentence. Everybody have to ask.
When we get McClarks.
Thank you. Well done. Well done. There was a slight pause there, but got there. All right. So what's your favourite colour to wear?
Black.
Okay. Black. Tell us a bit why. Like, why black?
It's just a colour that works with everything in your wardrobe. It's so easy to just go in your wardrobe and pick things out, and it might have different shapes or different fabrics, but it goes with everything. Yeah. Even your t-shirt, it goes with the rest of the colours that you're using, but it's just a universal colour. People even say to me sometimes, like, with your brand, like, you need to work with different colours sometimes. If you look at most of my things that I release, it's very black based. Similar to kind of like Rick Owens or whatever. A lot. Predominant. I would say all of his stuff is predominantly black. I just think it works for me.
That. Adidas or Nike?
Ooh, I would say I'm leaning a little bit more towards Nike.
Okay, why?
Just because, back to the question you asked me before, my aspirational shoe at the time was 110s. I liked Adidas as well. I had a couple like Adidas tracksuits. they're very par and par with each
Really?
other.
Yeah.
They really are for in my head. But if I had to choose one or the other, I'd say Nike.
Yeah.
They just tip it for me. There's something about the swoosh.
Yeah.
There's something about some of the trainers I used to make, which I just gravitated towards a little bit more than Adidas.
What are your views on wearing multiple brands at the same time? What are your views on that?
So like a couple things, I'll say when I've styled some people, because for instance I used to do some styling at Harrods, and there were people that had a lot of new money, and they would just splash designers everywhere, and it would just be designer names everywhere because they just want to show their new wealth. But I think you can wear different names, but you just have to be mindful of the colors of the logos. I always go for one statement piece. So for instance, with the t-shirt that you're wearing, if I was to wear that, then I wouldn't wear something else that maybe has a name going down the leg, or something else that's easily as drawing to the eye. I always try to think of what I'm wearing like a canvas, and like you want your eyes to mainly go to one place, but if there's too much going on, it can become a little bit too loud. So you can wear multiple brands, but I'll just advise to maybe just dress it down in terms of what the main statement piece is that you're wearing.
Would you say there's any two brands that just, it's like might be like an unwritten rule that just do not go together? So for example, wearing Adidas and Nike. Say you're wearing an Adidas tracksuit and Nike trainers. It's kind of an unwritten rule that you shouldn't do that. So, but I was thinking maybe in a luxury world, is there any two brands that just shouldn't really go together?
That's such an interesting question. I would say it's not a bad thing, and I love both brands, but if you were to maybe wear something like Dolce & Gabbana with Versace, because they're both very loud brands. Versace with the gold, with the Medusas, with they very loud in their designs, and so is Dolce & Gabbana with their flower designs, leopard skins, with their gold as well. So maybe if you're trying to combine both of them, it could look a little bit too much.
That's a good shout. What's your favourite city that you've been to?
Ooh, I mean, obviously London City, because I've grew up here. And just quickly, one thing I'll say is people say like, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. But I think if you can make it in London, you can make it anywhere.
Jeez, okay.
I think.
What makes you say that?
In New York, I think there's a little bit more of a community.
Okay.
There, where they're willing to. There's been a slightly more success stories with groups of people that are coming from the bottom.
True.
I think over here it's still very crab in the bucket type mentality. So if you can make it out of that, you are really exceptional. With some of the designers, rappers, and people that have actually risen to the top here. I think London is a weird place. It's a weird place. You can grow up and you can see affluence and wealth around you, but then to actually get it yourself is another question. It's
different.
It's just, I think in London, if you can make it in London, you can branch out anywhere.
Wow. Powerful statement, man. I think a lot of it is to do with culture. I must say that as British people, even though I cringe calling myself British, even though technically I am, I still disassociate myself with Britain.
Right.
But the culture is very reserved. So it's almost like ingrained in us to stick to ourselves and only get involved if we have to, or if someone's hurt, or whereas again, I've not been to New York. I'd love to go. But I imagine that their culture is very a lot more. I've been to different parts of America, by the way, and from what my experience is, they're more welcoming, they're more embracing, they're more outgoing, more kind of bubbly and eccentric in terms of. And however, authentic it is, or it might be fake, or it might whatever. They are still that way,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
we are very much stick to
Very
ourselves. Do you know what I'm
reserved. Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'd love that to change.
I would love
I'd
that
love
to
that to change
change.
because I think once that conversation starts, like this is the first time me and you have met, but it's like we've been talking for ages. Do you
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And on another day, if we didn't meet each other, we literally just walk past each
yeah,
other, not
yeah, yeah,
But thankfully, there's been an introduction, and we were able to sit down and have this conversation.
yeah,
However, I think this would happen a lot more easier and quicker in the States. There
yeah,
would be so much more collaboration.
yeah. I also, yeah. People have even said to me,
Yeah,
why haven't you blown? Like, why aren't you not? Because I mean, I'm doing well. The brand is going well. I'm
yeah,
really
man,
humble.
big up.
I never like to, complain. But people say to me like, why haven't you blown yet? Why aren't you like Virgil or Kanye or whatever? Like, and I haven't quite got that answer for them yet. But I just think that it's just like you said, people are more reserved in this country, and people are more like tracksuit based and just a bit more reserved in the way they dress. And then I'll walk past, like it's in a big fur coat and everything, and not everyone in London or the UK dresses like that. And I think it just. But what I have seen in the past few years is it's changing. A lot more people
Yeah,
are getting more expressive in the way they dress.
no doubt.
Even some of the rappers are as well.
Yeah.
Some of the music videos, London Fashion Week, like Shoreditch, different places, you can see people are being a lot more expressive with their fashion and with their personalities. So that's what sometimes I feel like I'm kind of fighting against.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like like you said, if I was in America, or if I was in Italy or other places where the percentage of people that dress more expressive was higher,
Yeah.
then maybe it might have excelled me slightly faster.
So would you say that's the next direction for you? Are you looking to conquer the States?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
I think London will always be my home, and I'll always do things here. But a lot of my clients are Nigerian, Ghanaian, West Indian, American. I send my stuff everywhere or meet clients in so many different places now that I've realized that you should never kind of keep yourself in one space or be tunnel visioned. The world can kind of be your oyster, and it's about who kind of appreciates and accepts you, rather than trying to knock a door down that might not necessarily be listening to you as much.
Who would you say is the best person to follow for style inspiration?
That's a good.
Apart from yourself.
Yeah. For a long time, it was Kanye for me. I really respected, and he was always just way ahead of his time.
Yeah.
He would wear pieces or things 3-4 years before people got why he was doing it. Pharrell is very 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 stylish man. There's a lot of stylists. Like there's a guy called Ash. He's on my page as well. An amazing stylist, Marcus Ash. He does some bits for like African artists, for Davido, for different people. I met him at Harrods, and he's now branched off to do different things as well.
Great.
He's an amazing fashion stylist. He wears a few of my pieces. He wore a piece to the Premier League Awards, and the way he just puts things together is aspirational as well. Yeah, so I'd say those sorts of people inspire me a lot.
If you could collab with another brand, what brand would that be?
I would love to collaborate with, I would say, Louis Vuitton.
Jeez, okay.
I do like their trainers. I've got a couple of them. I was inspired by what Virgil done there. I've been inspired with what Pharrell's now doing.
Yeah.
I've worked for them. I just love what they do. I love what they encompass. I love their company ethos and the way they make people aspire to want to buy from them. And it is the products. The products are high quality. They last long. But there's something about, you know, their fragrances or their belts or their clothing that makes people want to aspire to be able to kind of shop with them.
Yeah.
I like that they've also taken on some of the street and urban element of things in their clothing, because they've another conversation, they've kind of realized just how much influence black people have in fashion, in terms of us sometimes not owning it, but influencing it on the street level. And they've incorporated that in with their brand as well, and they obviously still do, you know, pieces that resonate or kind of are marketable to everyone, but on the street element side of things, where they probably make a massive gross income of, is has that kind of streetwear edge to it. So yeah.
Are there any trainers or footwear that you would never wear? Would never catch Kemar wearing this?
I had a conversation with this about my boy the other day, and you know what? I love them,
Yeah.
and I don't want to sound bad. I hate
Go
to
on.
put anything down, but New Balance.
Really?
And the reason why I say
Go
this,
on.
please let me explain. When I was growing up,
Yes.
New Balance was more for like Bill Gates, or for people who were kind of like tech people, or like kind of, let's say, like nerdy sort of people. And they've so excellently rebranded themselves now, where a lot of the trainers are really nice.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this now, but in a few months you might actually see me in a pair, because
Really?
they've really rebranded their trainers and everything really well. I have to give it to them. But just in my subconscious head, I can't get that side of it out of me.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
But yeah, they've done well. They've done really well with the way they have rebranded and market their stuff to a younger generation. It's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, I would say New Balance as well, by the way.
Would you?
But for me, it's just that capital N.
Yeah.
It's just not creative enough for me to be like, this is something that I want to walk around and represent.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, you know, because I like the construction of the footwear.
So do I.
Especially in terms of what's trending now, and it looks good, and
Yeah.
you know, even the technology behind it and the comfortability, etc.
Yeah.
However, just that bold N is just, it puts me right off. I just feel like
I
in terms
agree.
of a logo,
Yeah.
there should be something that is more in alignment with who I am as a creative person as well. And
I agree.
it's just, it's not enough for me.
See, you've put it down on a deeper level now,
Yeah.
actually, about like emblem and logo
Yeah,
design,
precisely.
and how that looks. And I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, fully. I think subconsciously that's what lacks it for me as well. It's so, and simplicity is brilliant as well. And the more sometimes you get simplistic with things, the more it becomes refined and classic. But even when I think of kind of like my logo or the Chanel logo with the way the two C's go, and Versace and Dolce and LV, it's just done in a way which just I resonate with slightly more than just a very kind of capital
Yeah.
and it just doesn't really
No, I'm glad we're on the same page there. Style or functionality?
Style.
Okay, tell us why.
Now, I love functionality. I love trainers because of their functionality. That's why I prefer trainers to shoes per se, because like shoes are way more uncomfortable. I just love the way things look. And even with women, you know, they'll say that like the heels might hurt them, or you know, they get onions and bunions and marks on the back of their heels and all sorts, but they do it for the love of how it looks. You know, I try to merge both. I want it to feel good as well as looking good with my brand, but it's just about how things look, isn't it? Because you're not going to be in it forever. You're going to take it off. So for me, it's about how it looks.
Okay. So for someone who wants to start their journey into the fashion industry, what advice would you give to them?
I've had a few people ask me this, and I'll try to say it quickly. I think just everyone has a lane. And I think in life everyone does. I've looked at Instagram and been on an off day and thought, oh man, like, you know, why ain't I where this person is? Or, you know, I've been going for a few years now, and it seems like they've been going not as long as me, and they look like they're excelling, and, you know, what am I doing wrong? And you just have to realize everyone has their own path and their own timing. You know, what might work for me might not work for someone else, and you just have to find your own lane, and not give up. I think that's the most important thing. Don't give up, and be consistent. I think consistency is key to everything. I've seen people that have been way better rappers, way better designers, people that have been technically better than me at making things, but because they're inconsistent, they might not reach to the same levels.
Yeah.
So I think just being consistent and being and loving what you do. You have to love it. You have to love what you do. I wake up and I get a passion and a buzz by doing fashion and making people feel good. And if you've got that feeling, then you'll make it.
What's your favorite season when it comes to clothing?
Winter, autumn, winter.
Okay.
I think I love the sun. I'm a definite sun baby. I just come back from Mykonos now, and I'm too tanned.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a black guy already. I don't need any more tanning. But I loved coats. That's what my kind of brand specializes in as well. I love the technicality of it. I love the fabric use of it. I love when it's cold and you can just put on a nice big jacket that makes you feel warm and gives you that look. So I would say autumn, winter.
Okay.
Yeah. For me.
What's your favorite cuisine?
My favorite cuisine. I love West Indian. Obviously, I'm West Indian. But I've just grew up being accustomed to that all the time. So I'll probably say Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love Chinese.
And what would your typical Chinese order be?
Which I had last night.
Yeah.
Which is special fried rice.
Jeez.
I'm cutting out the pork nowadays.
Yeah.
And then just a side to go with that. So some duck or special chow mein, or just something to go with that.
Flavors.
How about yourself?
Oh, I love Turkish, Mediterranean grilled.
Yeah.
I'm currently not eating meat, so I do like
Amazing.
a month on and a month off.
Amazing.
So I'm currently on a month off meat.
Amazing.
But when I do have meat, I love grilled lamb ribs. I think it's just a balance with the vegetable platter and maybe a bit of bulgur on the side as well. Perfect. That's my meal. I could eat that all day long.
I love Greek and Turkish food as well. Yeah. I mean, I just had that over there as well, and it's just simplistic, but it's so tasty.
That's it.
I love the meats. I love the herbs that they use, and it's just lovely.
Yeah.
I'd probably say after Chinese. That's my favorite as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Just give me the light and pass the draw.
Passing another bottle of more.
I'm glad. Again, me and you, we're here, man. We're here.
I was gonna put on a Jamaican voice, but I feel like should I?
No, you can't. Yeah, man. Be yourself, man. Aside from your own brand, and you might have answered this question already, but what is your favorite brand right now?
Yeah, I would say Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
But there's just so many good brands coming up at the moment. There's so many good brands. It's hard to think of every single brand at the moment, but British and if from Paris or from Italy, brands that are just coming up that are amazing. I love Chanel. The Chanel trainers I absolutely love. But I'll say if I had to pick one at the moment, probably Louis Vuitton. Yeah.
Okay. When it comes to styling women,
yes,
do you have a go-to store that is like, okay, this is my starting point? Or do you have a go-to place where it's like, okay, I'm going to start here as a brand or a store or a website?
I do.
I'm not asking you to give away your secrets, by the way.
Yeah, no. Look. Like you said, for me, it's not even necessarily about giving away like secrets. As I said, some people want to maybe reserve that more, but you can have a whole store, but it's about how you put things together.
Right.
You know, so like you said, look, even yourself as a stylist and myself, you know, some people might be in a massive store, they might have the money, but they just don't know how to put things together. But for me, I would say at the moment, Harrods
Okay.
is a place that a lot of my clients like to shop at, and that I would style there, and they have the kind of income to do that. An example is one woman, Asian woman, that I occasionally style, and she's one of the black tier people in Harrods, and she's spent over £1 million this year alone.
Wow.
In Harrods.
Wow.
So when you think of what she's, and that's just in Harrods. So her lifestyle, or what she might be, she might spend at Harvey Nicks, she might spend at Selfridges, she might spend in direct boutique stores. She might, like, that's just a whole different level of income and lifestyle that I'm not used to. But yeah, I think that is a place where you can get mainly anything you want.
Shopping online or shopping in person? Which do you prefer?
I would say online now.
Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting you to say that, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
In person, if I'm with a client, then yes, and the whole experience of shopping. Sometimes you can't beat that.
Yeah.
You know, just being in person, the whole. I love fashion. I love feeling the fabric. I love that whole experience. But sometimes now there's just not enough time, or some of my clients might be abroad. They might be in Nigeria, America. So we just have to work with what we see, and the pictures are so, I know you work with cameras, the pictures are so good now that you can near enough see what the fabric's going to be like, what the fit's going to be like. They give a good description online of what kind of cut it is. So most of the stuff I buy online, I haven't had to return, and that is the kind of way things are moving forward.
Yeah.
My brand is online based, and then we kind of meet clients if we're doing custom made items and stuff, but it's mainly kind of online based.
How do you stay on top of having like good mental health in terms of your line of work?
It's a good question.
Especially with fashion, there's a lot of pressures that people might be experiencing. How do you stay on top of your mental health?
I think exercise is a really good one. My ex probably won't like hearing this, but when we broke up, I think exercising was one of the things that saved my life.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep, man.
Yeah. It gives off certain endorphins. I mean, they've even said scientifically now, like when you exercise, it releases endorphins that make you feel good. And I'm not, you know, I quit smoking. I don't do any drugs. I drink occasionally. That was one of the things that kind of helped my endorphin levels and positivity stay high.
Yeah. That's great.
Plus, it was helping my body in terms of how it looked. Releasing your stresses out. I do a bit of boxing while I'm there as well, so that obviously helps as well with your fitness, with, you know, releasing tension.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say for me, exercise was a massive outlet for my mental health, and just having good people around you. I've had to, in life, you may love certain people, but you've just got to drop certain people out if they're not good for your mental health and not good for your well-being and not good for your, you know, trajectory in life. So you know, I have a small amount of friends. I've got not massive, but I've got a good following.
Yeah.
But a small number of friends, because people like to plant seeds. People love to plant seeds, and that's one thing I've realized as I'm growing up, where even myself, back to kind of fashion a little bit, but where people, I was selling my t-shirts at, you know, £150, or a jacket for £1,000, and I'll be like, what, why are you selling a jacket at £1,000? Like, you should be doing it for the hood man, them, the people that can afford it, and you know, like, what makes you think you can do that? And they'll break their bank to buy a Versace jacket or something from Dolce, but then because I'm a guy from the area, I shouldn't even be thinking like that. So, you know, it made me realize that, yeah, I have to be around people that believe
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
height of doing things, and that won't bring my mindset down.
That's great.
So having people around you that believe in you as well is important.
Powerful. Well, thank you so much, Kemar.
Absolute pleasure.
Listen, it's been a great episode. I've enjoyed this chat. Guys, if you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. And yeah, let us know what you think in the comments section below. And if you've got any questions for Kemar, please let us know where to find you. Let us know.
Yep. So you can find me at official Kemar on Instagram. So that's official and then Kemar. You can find me on TikTok as well, official Kemar. I need to use that a little bit more, so I will be on those avenues. And my website, which is made-uk.com, or if you just put made clothing in Google, we're at the top of the search.
Boom. Have I been saying your name wrong the whole episode?
No.
All right,
no.
Cool. So it's Kemar.
Yeah, people say Kemar, people say Kemar. Yeah.
Cool,
No, I'm fine with that.
I was like, oh, man.
No, it's all good.